Who are new here, and I know I can see a lot of regular faces. I'm Omar Abdelmannen. I'm a pediatric neurologist based in London, and I, with my amazing team of helpers, have been organising these vigils. This is the 4th vigil happening in the UK, in 12 UK cities and towns. Today, many of them are happening now as we speak, from Oxford to Edinburgh, from Dundee to Cambridge, from Cardiff, Lincoln, so there's a lot of representation.
Thank you. It's an absolute honour to be here, I have to say. And I think probably all of us woke up this morning hoping we wouldn't see what we saw in the news, that we would be seeing something which was about the ceasefire holding. And of course, as we saw now, we're back into the devastating impact of the devastating bombing that we see across Gaza. You know, it's so appalling, it's so sad, it's something that is very difficult sometimes to comprehend. You know, this evening we're mourning the lives of the 198 Palestinian health workers, unless there's been any more today, which I'm hoping there hasn't. 198 Palestinian healthcare workers that have been killed in the last 55 days. People who have given their all to look after the people of Palestine, to look after the people of Gaza, people who have sacrificed their life in a way that probably for most of us is incomprehensible. But not only have they given their lives, their colleagues, the people who are working with them, have lost loved ones, have lost family members, have lost their own children, and they're still continuing to turn up day after day to look after the people in their local communities.
Deep down that it wouldn't protect myself or my colleagues, knowing that the Red Crescent and Red Cross on our ambulances meant nothing to the occupying forces, who charged their tanks towards us and often attacked us. I have been there in those ambulances while tear gas was fired at us to prevent us from accessing patients who needed our help. Today, the systematic, flagrant disregard for the Palestinian healthcare infrastructure and staff has become worse than we could have ever possibly imagined. Since the 7th of October, we at PMRS have feared for the lives of our colleagues and peers and our family really in Gaza, knowing that healthcare workers and their families were being deliberately targeted. We have watched helpless as their homes, places of work, at their communities, and their lives were lost. I stand here today to ask that you no longer take for granted the resilience of the Palestinian healthcare workers or the Palestinian people. I ask you to acknowledge that our pain, our fear, and our grief is just as human, heavy, and meaningful as yours. I stand here today that you call for the protection of our workers so that they may treat the sick and the injured not without fearing for their patients, their loved ones, or their own lives. Before I finish, I would like to personally pay tribute to 3 doctors from my family who were killed during this latest aggression. Dr. Mohammed Makki, his son Dr. Anis Mohammed Makki, his daughter Amal Mohammed Makki, who was also just recently engaged before she was killed. Thank you.
By Israeli aggression, to the point where they force these doctors to leave at gunpoint from those hospitals so that these children would be left to die with no family, no parents, no one by their side.
Shame!
Shame! As a pediatrician, as a father, it absolutely sickens me to the stomach and breaks my heart to think of these children lying there with ventilators, unable to seek any help. And they were left to rot. They were left to rot like they were not human. What society do we live in where people don't even speak up to that? What society do we live in when people keep their eyes shut when they see this? If that had happened, frankly, to European children, to blonde, blue-eyed children, then we would be up in arms. But these are Palestinian children, so hence, by their standards, they are not seen as the equivalent of Israeli children or the equivalent of British children or American children. But they are our children. They are human beings. And that is unacceptable. And when I saw those images, I understood that this government has little to no power right now in its hands, and it needs to. It needs to stand up. The British Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister, the Health Secretary need to stand up and say, this is disgusting. This should not happen in 2023. Hold them up high, respect them, and remember them for this minute. And I urge you to respect the silence. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for respecting the silence. Please look at those names you're holding up and remember that every single one of them is a human being who had a family. They had sisters, brothers, mothers, fathers.